Warriors fans, I want you to remember one specific headline from just over a month ago because it is the exact story today's news completely reverses. In early July, multiple outlets reported that Golden State's pursuit of Kawhi Leonard was officially dead. Leonard had been traded to Toronto, the door had closed, and Dub Nation was left to move forward with the roster already assembled. That was the accepted final chapter. And at 1:38 this afternoon, on a live First Take Now cut-in, Shams Charania told the entire basketball world that chapter had just been reopened in the most unexpected way the league office could possibly produce. Kawhi Leonard's contract with the Los Angeles Clippers has been voided by the NBA following the conclusion of its cap circumvention investigation. He is an unrestricted free agent, and he has agreed to sign with the Golden State Warriors. Before you scroll off, I'm telling you right now, by the end of this video, I'm going to tell you the specific detail Shams provided about exactly how quickly Golden State's front office moved once the ruling came down, a speed that tells you this outcome had been quietly anticipated for weeks. I'm also going to tell you what Steve Kerr said in a press conference gathered on short notice 31 minutes later, connecting this signing to a specific previous coaching relationship most fans have completely forgotten about. Stay with me. Do not click off. Here's how it went down. Molly Karam is running First Take Now, discussing the frozen investigation as unresolved background context, when the control room clearly interrupts with real force. She stops. We're going to Shams right now. This is enormous, and it directly reopens a story everyone thought was dead. And they cut. Shams delivers, and this is the direct transcript. I want to explain how fast Golden State moved, because it tells you something important. My understanding is that Mike Dunleavy Jr., his front office had never fully abandoned its interest in Leonard, even after the Toronto trade was initially agreed to, specifically because people around the league had quietly speculated for weeks that the investigation's specific legal exposure, the possibility of a voided contract rather than a simple suspension, could realistically reopen his market. Once the ruling came down this morning confirming exactly that outcome, Golden State's front office, which had reportedly kept a version of a contract offer essentially ready to present, moved within the hour. This is a finalized agreement, multi-year, using cap space Golden State had specifically preserved. Read that back. People around the league had quietly speculated for weeks that a voided contract could realistically reopen his market. That is Shams revealing that this specific outcome, not suspension, but contract voiding, had actually been anticipated by informed league insiders well before it happened, which is exactly why Golden State was positioned to move so immediately rather than scrambling to react. And 31 minutes later, as I promised, Steve Kerr addressed reporters at a hastily gathered press conference, and the specific connection he drew is genuinely meaningful. People forget I was in the front office during Kawhi's very brief run with us on paper years ago, before everything happened with San Antonio and Toronto. I've always believed in this player's specific brilliance, the two-way dominance, the big moment gravity. Getting a real chance to coach him now, at this stage of both our careers, means something genuinely personal to me. Read that back. I've always believed in this player's specific brilliance. That is Kerr referencing a real, previously existing basketball connection and admiration, adding a layer of authentic personal investment to this signing beyond simple roster construction, the kind of specific personal history that confirms genuine excitement rather than a transactional, front office-driven decision alone. Now, the whiplash, because I know exactly what you're thinking. Golden State's pursuit of Kawhi was reported dead over a month ago when the Raptors trade was agreed to. How is this suddenly back on the table, and back on the table with Golden State specifically? And here's the honest answer, and it requires understanding that Golden State's interest never actually required Leonard to be traded from the Clippers in the traditional sense. It simply required him to become available on terms Golden State could pursue, and a voided contract making him an outright free agent is, in some ways, an even cleaner path than a complicated sign and trade or draft pick heavy trade package would have been. The Raptors deal closing would have ended Golden State's realistic path entirely. This specific legal outcome, full free agency, reopened a door that had actually been quietly held ajar by Golden State's front office the entire time on the chance this exact resolution occurred. Stay with me. Because once you understand exactly how Kawhi's specific two-way game fits Golden State's exact remaining need, this stops looking like a surprising reversal and starts looking like patient, opportunistic front office work finally paying off. 3 reasons Shams was this confident. Reason 3 is where the reveal lands. Reason number 1, Golden State's roster, even after adding significant pieces this offseason, has lacked a genuine elite two-way wing capable of defending the opponent's best perimeter threat in a playoff series, while also providing independent offensive creation when Curry needs a rest. Kawhi Leonard, coming off a genuine career-best statistical season, is precisely that archetype. A two-time champion and finals MVP whose specific combination of defensive versatility and shot creation gives Kerr a genuinely elite, complete two-way weapon this roster has not had access to in years. Reason number 2, and this is the tactical detail specific to why Kerr's motion-heavy system particularly benefits from Kawhi's specific offensive skill set. Leonard's mid-range scoring efficiency, among the best in the league at his position, thrives specifically within exactly the kind of read and react cutting and relocating offense Golden State has run for over a decade, giving him a genuinely natural fit rather than requiring wholesale system adjustment to accommodate an isolation-heavy scorer. And before I get to reason 3, because reason 3 is the specific timing detail Shams provided, talk to me in the comments. Warriors fans, real question. Does the fact that Golden State's front office quietly anticipated this exact outcome for weeks increase your confidence in how this organization operates? Or does the sheer legal unpredictability of the entire situation make you nervous about betting real cap space on it? I think Dub Nation is going to have a genuinely interesting reaction to this specific detail, and I want to read it. Go. Reason number 3. The timing. Ready? Golden State's front office had reportedly kept a version of a contract offer essentially ready to present. Read that back. That specific granular detail, a front office maintaining a genuinely prepared contract offer on the chance a specific uncertain legal outcome materialized, is exactly the kind of forward-thinking, scenario planning diligence that only comes from a front office genuinely tracking every possible outcome of a complicated situation, rather than reacting only after news breaks. When an insider can describe not just what happened, but the specific preparation an organization had already done in anticipation, that confirms genuine, deep sourcing into the actual front office process, not surface-level transaction reporting. Now, the skeptic, Stephen A. Smith, still processing the whiplash, found real concerns. You're telling me the Warriors, an already aging, hard-capped roster, are signing a 35-year-old with one of the most extensive injury histories in modern NBA history, whose availability was just determined by a league investigation into cap circumvention? How do you build any kind of stable, predictable championship plan around that level of chaos and uncertainty? And listen, Stephen A. His concern about both the injury history and the sheer unpredictability of how this situation unfolded deserves genuine consideration. Building around a player whose availability was determined by a legal ruling rather than normal basketball transactions introduces a level of institutional uncertainty that's genuinely unusual. But here's the counter. Once the legal question is resolved, and it now is, definitively according to the commissioner's own formal statement, the basketball question becomes exactly as straightforward as any other free agent signing. Leonard's game, his health this specific season, and his fit within Golden State's system are all evaluable on their own merits, independent of the unusual legal path that made him available. Stephen A. is still processing the strangeness of the situation. Golden State's front office has already moved past that and is simply evaluating the basketball fit, which happens to be genuinely excellent. Here's the part of this story with real irony. Kawhi Leonard spent this entire offseason believing his next chapter would be in Toronto, the city where he already won a championship and delivered one of the most iconic shots in NBA playoff history. Instead, through a legal process entirely outside his own basketball decision-making, he ends up in the Bay Area, walking into a completely different championship situation with a coach who has quietly admired his game for years, on a roster that suddenly looks dramatically more complete than anyone could have predicted when this legal saga began. But I owe you the honest risk. Kawhi Leonard's extensive injury history remains real and independent of any legal drama, and Golden State, already managing an aging core, is taking on genuine risk by adding another significant injury-prone veteran regardless of how encouraging his most recent healthy season looked, so let me bring it home. Kawhi Leonard to the Warriors matters because he provides the elite two-way wing production this roster has genuinely lacked, because his mid-range scoring fits precisely within Golden State's established offensive system, and because Shams' specific detail about Golden State's front office quietly preparing for exactly this outcome confirms deep, genuine sourcing into how this situation actually unfolded behind the scenes. Steve Kerr's own personal historical connection to Leonard is the receipt of just how genuine this pursuit actually was. Now here's what I'm watching next, and this is the next video, so hit subscribe. If Kawhi lands in the Bay, the very next question is exactly how Kerr integrates him into an already crowded rotation, and what this means for Toronto, who now has to completely rebuild its offseason plan after an agreed trade legally evaporated. I've got a read on it that will surprise you. For now, comments, likes, subscribe, Dub Nation. Everyone thought this door was closed. It was just quietly propped open. Wild summer.